Hi, I'm Gordon Ramsay, and these are some of the best things I've eaten across the world. Some of the best foods in the world now is coming out of the UK. I'm going to go curry. It was something I grew up with. I think this country now has some of the best Indian restaurants anywhere in the world. And we have 2-star Michelin curry houses now. And I'm so pleased. And it's only a matter of time before we have our first 3-star curry house here in the UK. It's down to that amazing melting pot and the multi-layered, multicultural environment we live in. I'm a big fan of Brick Lane. I grew up in the West Midlands in Birmingham. The community that Brick Lane gives off takes me back to Birmingham. So Brick Lane all day long. The USA, that's a big country, 50 states, 50 incredible states. I want to go Texas because of the incredible beef. Texas is like a standalone country on its own. It's vast, it's barren, and I've done some incredible hunting there. Again, another melting pot, multicultural, and some of the quality of the ingredients is just second to none. I've eaten some of the best beef in the world in Texas. And then I think of places like Austin, Texas, and just how charming and rustic the food is. It's incredible. I mean, really incredible. France, for me, was the backbone of my career. France was humbling. Going to work in Paris in one of the best restaurants in the world under Guy Savoy and Joe Robuchon at 22 years of age was a gift, was an incredible gift. I got lost in France. I became French. When I spoke French, they asked me whereabouts in France do I come from. I was that obsessed with really understanding not just haute cuisine, but bistro cooking, slow braising, slow roasting, cuisine légère, where everything was aerated and light. I would be in the middle of service as a 22-year-old cook, and we'd run out of asparagus, and I'd get sent to the market in front of the restaurant to handpick this incredible asparagus. And the produce is as good for the locals as it is for the restaurants. It's the same standard, whether you're buying produce to cook at home or eating in a restaurant. It's that good everywhere. Excitement about French cuisine is the regions. Whether you're in the Pays Basque, Loire Valley, whether you're in Burgundy, or whether you're in Brittany, there is something magical that comes from France every time you visit it. I lived there for 3 years. I lived in the Rue de la Roquette in the 11th arrondissement in La Bastille. There's a beautiful little bistro on the top of Rue Saint-Sabin. And there's a little bistro that's still there today. That's my go-to comfort. It's opposite La Bastille Opera House, where I saw Carmen for the first time years ago, and then off for a steak frite. Oh man, if there was one place I would move to tomorrow, I'll be honest, is India. I fell in love with that place over 25 years ago when I was fortunate enough to cook at an incredible wedding in Rajasthan. And then I spent time in Nagaland, and I finished off in an ashram in southern Kerala, the land of spice. There's a fragrance and a history that is unique. And I think I perfected my vegetarian cuisine after my time in India, because the ashram I went to live in and work in was some of the best vegetarian food I've ever eaten in my entire life. And they took the humble chickpea to a whole new level. There's just something magnetizing walking the streets of Mumbai and the hustle and the bustle. Now, having a restaurant in India takes me back there quicker than you know. I spent 2 weeks on the streets in Mumbai, sampling some of the best street food anywhere in the world. Yeah, the dosas are incredible. Breakfast is this spice magic that just captivates you. And even in, intense heat with high temperatures, you're still excited about eating spicy food. So I would go back there tomorrow if I could. Spain took over the sort of culinary hotspot, in my mind, 20 years ago. I'm not saying France sat on their laurels, but Spain got recognised at the right time. I fell in love with Galicia years ago. The beef, again, is incredible. The shellfish, extraordinary. Diving in some of those waters off the west coast of Spain. I had my first experience with the sea barnacles, the pez, the tiny little tapas bars in the old town of Barcelona, to some of the Michelin Star restaurants in Madrid, to some of the best wine in the world, with Vega Sicilia being produced in Spain. So Spain for me is in my top 5 culinary countries in the world. Vietnam, I was blown away. In fact, I had tears in my eyes when I left Vietnam. I didn't want to come home. I enjoyed it that much. I was fortunate enough to float down the Mekong Delta with a family that was harvesting crocodiles. And the markets were exceptional. Watching families go to the markets twice a day for fresh ingredients was mind-blowing. When you see the hustle and the bustle of those local markets, fish market, meat market, vegetable markets, the produce is incredible. And the good news is it stays there. It's not exported. And so their eating habits are some of the best in the world because it's grown locally, sourced locally, and it's not food that's been spoilt with major influences. Vietnamese cuisine stands alone, and it's freaking iconic. I love it. I did a slow-cooked braised pork belly with noodles. That this pork belly was cooked over embers in this clay pot for 12 hours, and it was this sort of melt-in-your-mouth moment. Whilst the pork was cooking, the broth was simmering away equally for 12 hours. And I then jumped in this tiny little skiff, this little boat, and started selling it to local fishermen. It was one of the most inspirational moments of my culinary career. Oh boy. I was blown away when I went to spend some time in Oaxaca. I love Mexican cuisine. I love what it stands for. I love the rustic charm. But I thought I understood how to make a mole. And I got schooled, man. Honestly, I got absolutely torn apart. Prior to visiting Mexico, mastering a mole, I was spending up to sort of 4 or 5 hours making it. My first day in Oaxaca, I spent 11 hours perfecting a mole. It took me back to almost like being back at college. It was that instrumental. And then you think of the unfussy style, whether you're eating a beautiful taco or whether you're eating a braised short rib, there's something quite unique. And then the chocolate that's produced in Mexico is some of the best chocolate anywhere in the world. So I love Mexico. I fell in love with Australia because of the uniqueness in their cuisine. Produce-led. I couldn't quite believe the standard of fish, shellfish, lamb, beef. It was incredible. They produce some of the best whiskey in the world in Tassie. There's more whiskey distilleries per square mile in Tasmania than anywhere else in the world. But what I was blown away with was the spiny lobsters. These things were like 4 foot long. And I went diving there, and it was in the middle of the Great White Highway. And I'm bedding down in amongst all this kelp. I'm on aerated tanks from the boat. And it's the first time I'd spotted a great white shark. And I just stayed calm. I had my hand on the spiny lobster. And I thought, I've got the prized asset. I'm about to be eaten by a great white. I put my tummy on top of the spiny lobster. I laid down on the kelp and I waited for this 12, 14 foot great white shark past me. I got up on the boat and I said to my dive buddy, "Did you see the size of that shark?" He said, "No." "Are you talking about the juvenile, the baby great white?" I'm like, oh my God, that's the baby one. So yeah, Tasmania all day long. Oh man, Morocco. There is something quite uplifting at the Medina. The energy, it's like, I don't know if you've ever gone surfing, But the energy that the ocean gives off, this is what these food markets do for me in the Medina. The Berber Mountains and what they stand for, how barren, how tough the environment is, it always produces incredible food. I never had tasted camel before going to Morocco, and I was a little bit skeptical because of the amount of times I've ridden a camel. I had one of the best camel braised dishes I've ever eaten in my entire life. There's something humbling about the overuse of spice and what they do with it and how they cook, and just the open fire coolness. They want for nothing. They cook some of the best food in the world. South Africa for me was like going to cook in the Wild West. I fell in love with South Africa years ago when I started running the ultra marathons called Comrades. We'd start at Pietermaritzburg and go to Durban. One year it'd be uphill, next year it'd be downhill. I'd go through all those amazing little towns, Pinetown, Polly Shorts, and climb these incredible hills, and then feast on some of the best braai, the best barbecues in the world. The fish markets in Durban are incredible because the produce is in abundance. It's exciting traveling to Durban because there's no jet lag. We're on the same time zone, but our winter is their summer. And so it's a perfect destination to disappear from the UK to Durban in the middle of winter and embellish their incredible, wonderful summers. Denmark is almost like the sleeping beauty of the culinary world because that whole Scandinavian respect is second to none. Denmark have got it right in terms of what they produce. It is an inspiration beyond belief. And I started focusing on Scandinavia 20 years ago. And that lightness, the fermentations, the pickling, the marinades, but again, the produce, second to none. And again, the better the ingredient, the little it needs doing to it. I think the exciting thing about Denmark for me is the destinational restaurants, especially out in the forests. So therapeutic. We've been lucky enough to captivate magic with some Michelin Star chefs that are on this incredible journey. And the surroundings are serene, calm. The environment is friendly, sustainable. And what they stand for is just ethically clean. It's the perfect foodie world. No waste, incredibly green, sustainable, but magical. A dream food destination that I've yet to visit is going to be South America. It's going to be Sao Paulo, Brazil. We have such an amazing draw in Brazil. I cannot wait to go there. Everyone talks about the sort of Portuguese influence and the crossover with the sort of Spanish and the French influence. So Brazil is next.